Today we are going to be just doing some sandboxels, I guess. I don't know. Okay, just have some fun, I guess. What should I do?
The objective of the game is this.
I'm gonna make a
Red tries to
machine.
make a path between the top
Yeah,
and bottom sides, while blue
that's what
tries
I'm
to
gonna
form a
do.
path between the left and right sides. Whoever forms their path first wins. Pretty simple game. But despite its simplicity, it is arguably
For
more
sure.
complex than chess. Speaking of chess, you probably know that chess is not a solved game. There is no
Oh
winning
yeah.
strategy or guaranteed way to win, at least not that we know of. We don't know of any winning strategy for Hex either, but funnily enough, we know that Red has a winning strategy, we just don't know what it is. It's been proven that Red can always win if they don't mess up. They are guaranteed victory if
So
they follow the winning
basically, I'm
strategy.
just gonna
It's just no one knows what the winning strategy is.
in
Now, does any of that have anything to do with hexagonal
parcel
tic-tac-toe?
out.
No, I just thought it was interesting. Besides, I already told you in the thumbnail that hexagonal tic-tac-toe doesn't work, so don't complain. What were you expecting when you clicked on this video? Look, not only are hexagonal grids annoying to draw, the game also just doesn't work. X goes first, and if you play X and take the center spot, you cannot lose. Even if the opponent fills the rest of the board with O's, it's still a draw. Maybe a good solution would be to make the board bigger? This at least makes it so that whoever plays O actually has a chance at winning. But of course, plenty else can still go wrong, so let's play a game and see what happens, shall we? X wins in 3 moves, which is also approximately the number of brain cells required to win as X. You go in the middle and you pretty much just win from there. Whoever goes first instantly gets a huge advantage, because you can just grab the most valuable hexagons, and you have one extra piece on the board. If we want a playable version of tic-tac-toe, we should probably do something about this unfairness. But what? How can we make it so that both players have a fair chance at winning? I will offer you 2 solutions to this problem. The first one is the more obvious one. After X's turn, O now gets 2 turns. Then X gets 2 turns, and
It's
O gets 2
slowly
more turns.
doubling it. No,
So now instead of X having more pieces than O, the 2 sides are balanced now. However, to absolutely no one's surprise, this solution brings up even more problems. Here's one of them. Getting 3 in a row is really easy now, since you get 2 turns at a time. We can fix this by making the win condition 4 in a row instead of 3 in a row. So now you need to get 4 in a row in order to win. Let's try that out and see what goes wrong. The game is a draw. I guess X doesn't have an advantage anymore, so that's solved, but the game is still really boring because there isn't a lot of space on the board. So let's add in more hexagons again. After all, we just went from 3 in a row to 4 in a row, so it makes sense that we need some more space. You know what, let's just add infinitely many hexagons. Alright, now let's see what happens. This time O wins. Interesting. Why? You see, on this move, O makes a threat. The threat is 2 O's in a row, and if X does nothing about it, O will win on their next move. So X needs to block both ends of the threat. This requires 2 X's to completely nullify the threat. If you only use one X, O will win, so you need both. Now it's O's turn again, and they make 2 threats at once. You have 2 O's in a row right here, and also 3 O's in a row right here, both of which can be turned into a win if left unattended. However, X only gets 2 turns, and 2 X's aren't enough to answer both of these threats, and O wins. The important thing to note here is that O got the first threat by making 2 O's in a row. The win condition is 4 in a row, so if you have 2 in a row, that's a threat, which must be answered by the opponent. 1 X isn't a threat, but 2 O's is. Since X needs to respond to this threat, O is free to make more threats, which ends the game. So the takeaway here is, whoever makes the first threat has the advantage. If you'd like to see another example of that, here we are. Let's change 4 in a row to 5 in a row. Notice that now,
Oh
O is no longer a threat. Ignoring it will not lead to you immediately losing. Now, 3 O's in a row is a threat. Once you see that, you will need to block it off on both ends with 2 X's. Okay, now let's play against ourselves and see what goes wrong this time. X makes the first threat, so O is forced to respond, and X makes a second threat. O is forced to respond to that, and X makes a third threat, and O is forced to respond to that, and X makes a fourth threat. Oh no, X just wins. This is 2 threats at once. If we backtrack a little bit, we see that X makes 3 in a row here, and another 3 in a row here. It is impossible for O to block both these threats off, since that would require more than 2 O's, so X wins. Every other line of play proceeds the same way, with X winning through 2 threats at once. Do you see how having the first threat is a huge advantage? In this game, 2 O's isn't enough for a threat, but 3 X's is.
guess I'm just gonna
So X gets the first threat, and since O
go
must
to
block
the
this,
human
O can't make
body.
their own threat. So X gets to make all the threats, and eventually X wins because of it. There's nothing O can do to prevent X from getting the first threat either. Once one X is placed down, there are 3 different angles that have the potential to become threats. O can only block off 2 of those angles, and the third inevitably becomes a threat for X, which eventually leads to X winning. So that's 5 in a row hexagonal tic-tac-toe. Before we analyze any other variations, I want to share with you a few strategies. These strategies are pretty obvious if you've played the game for some time, but I'm assuming none of y'all have a lot of experience with playing hexagonal tic-tac-toe. So here we are. The first strategy is choosing the position of your threats. In this situation, X can make a threat, but there are a few different ways to make the threat. This is a threat, this is also a threat, and this is also a threat. So which threat do we make, and does it even matter? Well, you definitely don't want to make this threat, because O is going to block it and threaten you at the same time, and then you're going to lose. So you don't want to get into this situation. This is not ideal. What about the other two? Neither of these result in you immediately losing, and it doesn't look like there's much of a difference between the two. But there is. The threat on the bottom is much better than the threat on the top. In fact, the threat on the bottom will lead to a win for X, but the one on the top won't. Okay, time out here. So the way I make these videos is there are 2 phases. The first phase is the drawing phase, where I draw everything that you're seeing on the screen right now. And then the second phase is where I record my audio and then time-lapse the footage from the first phase and then put it all together. Now, when I was drawing the first phase, I didn't realize that the threat on the top actually also led to a win for X. So this fact I just wrote was just wrong, and I didn't realize it. But you can see me discover that I was wrong later on during the drawing phase. So you can, I think like 2 minutes ahead in the video, you can probably see me realize, oh wait a minute, I was just wrong. Oh no. So I don't know. Yeah, well this fact is wrong, so at least you know that now. The threat on the bottom is much better than the threat on the top. In fact, the threat on the bottom will lead to a win for X, but the one on the top won't. The reason is because the threat on the bottom sticks out more, while the threat on the top is more centralized. In general, you don't want your threats to be clumped up with all the other pieces, if you know what I mean. If all the X's and O's are over here, you want to make your threat over here instead. You want your threat to stick out. This doesn't make the threat stronger or anything, it just makes it easier to make follow-up threats. In this scenario, there's more space to make follow-up threats, and you can use that space to win 3 moves later. But if you make your threat here so that everything is kind of clumped up, you have less space to work with. You can still make follow-up threats, but eventually you'll run out of space. 5 moves later, X has no more threats to make, and O wins in 2 more moves using this brilliant triple fork. So that's the first strategy. You should place your threats in a good location, ideally far away from the existing pieces on the board. Alright, that brings me to my second point, momentum. You've probably noticed by now that when X makes a threat, O must respond to it, which leaves X free to make another threat. This usually goes on for a while. X is just making threat after threat after threat until X either wins or runs out of threats to make. It might be useful to have some terminology for this phenomenon, so let's call this momentum. If you're making a bunch of threats, you have the momentum. For example, in this scenario we saw earlier, X has the momentum. X is the one giving the threats. X is in control of the game, at least for now, and the only thing O can do is block X's threats. Now, if you have the momentum, you should try to win. Alternatively, you could set up a permanent advantage, but that's more advanced. I'll explain that later. So if X has the momentum, X should try to set up a combination of threats that is impossible to block, which would give them the win. However, X is under a time limit. Their momentum won't last forever. If they don't make the right move, they will run out of threats, like in this scenario. And when that happens, they will actually be at a disadvantage. You see, when you're making a lot of threats, the other player is covering your threats up. And when you inevitably run out of threats, your pieces are kind of useless. They're just sitting there in the middle. Meanwhile, your opponent's pieces are quite valuable. It's really easy to make threats with them. What this means is, typically after one player's momentum runs out, the momentum will shift to their opponent. Because if you have a bunch of pieces in useful positions, of course you're going to start making threats and trying to win. So in a typical game, momentum shifts back and forth between the 2 players until one of them manages to win. You haven't really gotten to see this cycle though, because so far the games haven't lasted very long. That's about to change though. Let's up the win condition to 6 in a row. It is quite difficult to get 6 in a row. You need 4 in a row just to make a threat. So this game is going to last quite a while, and we will get to see some new strategies being used. Here we are.
What is the actual ROI of all of your AI spend? How do you even think about that? What do good CIOs do? Every organization knows they're flying blind today while they try lots of different pilots across the organization for all of the various AI tools, measuring how much they're spending on AI tools. I've been fortunate enough to be a founder in Silicon Valley. I'm very interested in the relationship between CIOs, CFOs, and heads of HR, and how they're all part of it to form the organizational future thanks to AI. It's very clear there's stress on the database, and that's concerning HR. It's very clear there's an explosion of tools, which lead to questions on spend management, data governance, competition with CIOs. And what are we going to do with all of this expense? How are we going to rationalize this? How are we going to make sure we drive productivity? And that's the CFO. So those three years and what actually happens with all of this AI investment across
If you have sensitive or reactive skin, you do not need more steps or more ingredients. You need minimal ingredient formulas that are actually going to respect your skin barrier. And I'm partnered with Sandboxels to show you products that I recommend all the time without exactly. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Alexandra. I'm a certified dermatologist and welcome back to my channel. As someone with sensitive skin, I am very picky about what I use and honestly, I kind of learned this by doing. As both a dermatologist and it has a 9-ingredient formula that melts away makeup and impurities, but it doesn't affect sensitive and also, I love that I can use it on my eyes without any irritation. Yes, you heard that. Coming from a derm with dry, sensitive skin and really sensitive eyes, I use this to remove eye makeup with no irritation whatsoever. If you have sensitive or reactive skin like I do, or if your skin tends to feel tight or uncomfortable after cleansing, this is the type of routine I recommend. It has minimal ingredients, some efficacy, and comfort for you than most sensitive skin. These are the products I trust both personally and professionally. If your skin is sensitive or easily reactive, remember that simple, barrier-supporting formulas are often the most effective. Drop your questions below and I will answer them. If you found this video helpful, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. If you have future topic ideas or questions about any other particular products, make sure you drop those questions down below. You guys know you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Dr. Alex Brown. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.
X makes the first threat, however, it's not a very strong one, because the threat is already true. So only one O is needed to block the threat, and O is not in any serious here, though, X does nothing. X makes a threat, but not in the usual way. There are 4 X's in a row.
I shall hope this party win this.
For the next few moves, nothing interesting. Here though, but there just aren't enough X's to work, and O quickly goes back to playing defense. Now X grabs the momentum, but a few moves later, X runs out of threats to make, and X no longer has a momentum. Here, O would normally take the momentum back and start making threats, but O realizes their pieces are all over the place, and it's hard to make threats because they're scattered all over the board. This does set up a permanent advantage that O comes back to later on. So this kind of wastes a move, so X O blocks them and increases their permanent advantage. X is another threat, but the left side is getting scary, so X places a piece there. So at this point, X just gives up on the left side entirely and fully commits to their attack on the right side. This actually would have worked. X would have a forced win here, but whoever was playing X didn't see it. By the way, I was playing X, and I don't really think I didn't see it. Yes, I played this game. I have no one to play with. Surprisingly, everyone wants to play hexagonal they are able to grab the win. Alright, so far this is the only variation of tic-tac-toe that is somewhat fun to play. 6 in a row is the sweet spot, and if you raise it to 7 in a row, the game ends up lasting forever because getting 7 in a row is really hard. On the other hand, 5 in a row is too easy to get, and the game finishes really quickly. However, for 6 in a row, I should note that if both players know what they're doing, a typical game will probably last much longer than the example game we just had. Both players actually played pretty aggressively here, and I think play better, they would play more defensively and the game would have lasted much longer. I also haven't tested the game, but I think I have. There are probably other strategies I haven't discovered yet. Alright, one more thing before I end. Remember back at the start of the video, I pointed out the problem of X having a clear advantage over O because X goes first. And I said I would give you two solutions to that problem. So far I have only given you one. I mean, X goes twice, X goes twice, Y goes twice, and so on. And I kind of spent the whole video on the solution, but the second solution deserves to at least be mentioned. It was actually inspired by the game Hex. Yes, the thing I showed at the very beginning of the video. You don't need to remember exactly what the game is about. Just know that Hex has the exact same problem as the character. The player who goes first, red, has a significant advantage over blue. This is because the hexagon in the center is the most valuable, so the player who goes first will take that hexagon and have the advantage. But Hex players have a really clever way of getting rid of this problem. Here's how it works. After red takes the first hexagon, blue can either play normally from there, or they can steal that hexagon. The idea here is, if red tries to take a really valuable hexagon like the center, then blue would just steal that hexagon, giving blue the advantage. Therefore, red is incentivized not to take the really valuable hexagon. They should make a fair opening move instead, because if they make a strong opening move, blue will just steal it. It's sort of like the I cut, you choose rule when splitting a cake in half. Red cuts the cake, and blue chooses which half of the cake they want. Therefore, red is incentivized to make a fair cut, leading to both of them getting exactly half the cake. Similarly, in the game of Hex, red makes the opening move, and blue chooses which player plays that opening move. Therefore, red is incentivized to choose a fair opening move for both of them. It's pretty genius when you think about it, and I wonder why this isn't common practice in games where the first player has an advantage. For example, is this not applicable to chess? Would the game not be more fair if white made a move, then black had the option to flip the board 180 degrees if they wanted to? I don't see any flaw in the logic here. Please tell me if I'm wrong though in the comments. I'm quite an idiot sometimes. But, I'm pretty sure chess would be more fair if this simple rule were added. White has a small advantage in chess, which is not really evident if I'm playing, but it does show at the top levels. Anyway, enough about chess. We're supposed to be talking about tic-tac-toe. Yeah, it works on tic-tac-toe too. X goes first, and O gets the option to steal the opening move. It should be noted, however, that you can't be playing on an infinite grid. The I cut, you choose thing doesn't really work on an infinite kingdom. Wait, does that analogy work? I don't know, whatever. That's all I have to say for this video. Oh, also I switched to a different editing software and a different drawing software as well. Yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week. Peace.
What in the world is in that room? What you got in that room? Are you custom made, custom paid, or you just who them girls you be with when you be riding through? There's no place like Lowe's.
I'm Steve Ballmer, former Microsoft CEO and a basketball fanatic. But more than anything, I'm a data guy. That's why I created USA Facts, to bring you unbiased and nonpartisan government data on issues impacting the lives of Americans. I'll share with you the facts and data, all from our government. You make up your own mind. Who is responsible? Federal, state, or local government? There are 90,888 government entities across America. Woo!
Ugh. was just going to talk to my dad, okay, guys?
And
That's
I
all.
wondered, how is that even possible? What do all those governments do?
You know what?
How much does it all cost? It's our government, so let's explore it. The most recent nationwide data from 2022 tells us we have one federal government representing the whole United States of America,
Let's see if it can
which just
handle it.
turned 250 years old in 2026. We have 50 state governments, 3,031 counties, 19,491 municipalities, which actually also includes Washington, D.C., 16,214 townships, 12,546
Yes.
independent school districts,
Yes.
and 39,555 special districts like public transportation or water.
No, please don't. No.
That adds up to 16,888, a number that does not include U.S. territories like Guam and Puerto Rico, which have their own governing structures. Let's break it down. County governments exist in every state
Finally.
except Connecticut
To
and Rhode
die.
Island, which assign local functions to municipalities, or the state retains those itself. Two states have county-like entities with different names. Louisiana refers
That's
to
basically
them
what he's
as
saying.
parishes, and Alaska calls them
Voice
boroughs.
acting. Voice acting,
Municipal
you know.
governments are
You know.
local governments that are often called cities,
His legs are gone now.
towns, or villages,
Seriously, his
depending
legs are
on the
gone.
state.
Gone.
Townships are a
He's gonna
subdivision of
die.
counties.
No.
You'll find them in 20 states, primarily in the Northeast and the Midwest. I grew up in a place called Farmington Township,
Why
just
not
outside
hope?
Detroit. Importantly, townships are not the same as towns, which are small municipalities. Municipal and township governments do overlap in 11 states, where residents can wind up paying taxes to and receiving services from both the township and other local government. That covers
He's like,
about
no,
43%
please.
of the government
Oh,
entities
no.
in America.
Oh,
Now
wait a minute.
let's look at the
I'm dying, yeah. Yeah.
57%.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Two categories,
That's probably what he's like
independent
saying.
school districts
Or
and
thinking
special
at least.
districts.
I don't know. I do not know. Like, all this middle was forced into him. Yeah. Anyway, the only way to get it out is like amputation. And like a bunch of surgery stuff, and like, they don't have that in that horrible world there is.
Horror
Old
is
bump.
such a unique genre in the realm of video games. There's
Old
no
bump.
one thing that's
Oh my
scary
goodness!
to everyone. Scare factor is subjective.
Collaboration.
You may not find a man slowly losing his sanity in a creepy mansion scary, but how about Jumbo Josh? If you find this scary but not amnesia, I am genuinely concerned for you. What I'm trying to say is that there are so many different types of horror games out there, and if there's any type of horror game that's existence confuses and fascinates me at the same time, it's a good old EXE game. You probably already know about the Bloody Blue Man himself, but Sonic.exe was a creepypasta
Oh,
about a
just to look at
haunted
him.
copy of Sonic the Hedgehog
Slowly
written in
dying.
2013 by a very computer viruses, a problem that's been
Don't
plaguing
know
Grandma's computer for decades now. It's not really something that's as big of a problem
how
anymore, but back in the 90s and early 2000s, malware and other types of viruses were
this
absolutely detrimental and pretty hard to deflect. Like one day you'd just be chilling looking at your emails to see a message from Pikachu, you open it to a cute message from your favorite video game character, and it just really makes your day. Then you restart your computer and realize it's completely erased beyond repair. I'm not joking, this was a real email worm that existed, and that's crazy to me. Over the past few decades of various malware, trojans, spyware, and other viruses releasing, we have been blessed with some weird-ass stuff. Things like Bonzi Buddy, who was a silly purple gorilla that would dance and sing around your desktop, and then also steal your personal information. I swear, one day I'm gonna get a tattoo of this guy. There's also Ransomware, which was a ransomware program that takes your computer hostage until you beat a game of Toho on the hardest difficulty. I know it was created with the intention to entertain, but god, it would be so funny if my grandpa got this on his laptop, and then he had to train bullet hells to get his tax documents back. There's been so many strange and cool viruses over the years, and I want to talk
about a couple that really got my attention. I actually looked at some viruses a few years ago, and since the Halloween season is here, what's better than to take a look at some creepy, odd, and downright hilarious viruses that can absolutely demolish your computer. Now, before we start our journey into viruses, let me just give you a little itty bitty warning. Do not replicate anything that I attempt here today. Viruses are bad, and downloading them will permanently harm your computer. I am a trained idiot, and I am using virtual machines, not real computers. I will not be linking any of the viruses so that you do not be dumb. Do not be dumb, and if you are dumb, I am not responsible. With that out of the way, have you ever had your computer taken over by numbers before? Starting us off is 000.exe, a creepypasta virus created by Flytech Videos. Oh yeah, all the viruses I'm talking about today were created solely for fun, never to cause real harm. I mean, they all pretty much rapture your PC, but it's for the sillies, you know? Anyways, this is pretty straightforward malware. After you get a dark red warning message,
finally, I'm dying.
you run this program,
You're like,
and fun begins. You're then unable to access your computer as a video of this weird rogue begins to play, as the computer prepares itself for destruction in the background. You can't close the video or tab out or anything. You're pretty much just forced to watch this eerie video play out until your computer restarts.
Like, what is
Unfortunately, that video
happening?
was the
Why?
least of your problems.
Why
When the computer boots
him?
up again, all of the usernames are replaced with "you're next." After trying a bunch of random passwords, I realized the password never actually changed from the one I put. I entered my computer once more, and yeah, it's over.
The digital world. It's where business gets done and what keeps it running. But as your operations expand across clouds, data centers, and global users, it gets harder to answer. What's your network trying to tell you today? Netscape cuts through complexity with real-time insights across every app, cloud, and edge.
And yeah, it's over. All of the icons on your desktop are replaced with the words "you're next."
Slowly melting.
Like, I get it,
Slowly melting.
but don't be lazy about it. Spell the whole word out. Opening any of them just shows you a text file repeating "you're next" over and over. However, opening the one different document on the desktop says that they got you and that you have been warned. I'm sorry, this was just the warning? Error messages then begin to spam on your computer, telling you to run away. At this point, there's really nothing you can do. The computer's mostly unusable after this. The messages keep opening up, and your computer is just fancy decoration at this point. Whew, dealing with that virus really made me tired. I wish I had some energy. That's why I'm glad I have my gamer subs, baby!
I'm not the
That's right, I am now a
Congratulations, you won.
Ever since I was a kid, the idea of getting a virus on my computer was terrifying. I'm sure some of you can relate to this too. Being a kid trying to get Minecraft mods was a minefield, being one fake download button away from destroying the family computer. However, most people were afraid of viruses as a kid, and that's kind of where their experiences with them ended. They hated viruses, and now they don't really think about them anymore. However, I'm slightly insane and developed a strange love for viruses later in life because, let's face it, regardless of how scary they may be, computer viruses can be really cool sometimes. But before we get to that, I have a classic contractual obligation to attend to. Whoa, looks like I've been trapped in this computer by a virus. Now, however am I going to get out of here? Talk about Opera GX, the sponsor of today's video? Well, of course I can do that. Tired of your lame browser that isn't red? If so, Opera GX has got you covered. Not only is it red, but with the crazy amount of customizability of this browser, you could do almost any color you want, from red to a pinkish red. Oh, and I guess there's the many different cool wallpapers and themes you can download through GX Mods, which includes custom sounds and musics for each theme, but I'm a sucker for red, what can I say? Not only does it look cool, but it's functionally great too. With the GX control option, you can actually limit your CPU and RAM usage, leading to way better performance. I mean, just look at these results. What do you think about that, virus? Got questions you need answers to? Opera GX also has AI tools baked right into the browser, such as smart AI prompts. Need to know how to get rid of a pesky virus, or how to break it to your dad that you need $500 in Bitcoin? With smart AI prompts and ChatGPT, it's super simple. And of course, you might be scared to switch browsers because you don't want to lose all the stuff you have on your old one. But with the quick import tool, you can move your browsing history, your passwords, your bookmarks, all of that stuff with absolute ease. things. Use my link down below to download Opera GX today. Oh, it looks like I'm being taken out of the computer. Thanks, Opera GX. There are so many different types of computer viruses out there, and for so many different reasons, they can be both scary and cool, sometimes intentionally. Ever since the days of MS-DOS, programmers have been making viruses with the sole purpose of it being an art form, showing off what they can do with this hardware. For example, the DOS virus Madman begins to send you cryptic messages with this pair of scary eyes popping up every now and then. Viruses can also unintentionally be cool and scary too. I mean, the concept of viruses themselves are already scary, not really much I gotta say there, but viruses being cool, that was not an intended effect. Like, I doubt the creators of Bonzi Buddy, a talking purple gorilla who managed your computer and stole your data, would think he had a cult following 2 decades later. Oh, and I did follow through on my promise from the last virus video. I did indeed get a Bonzi Buddy tattoo, and I don't regret it one bit, for now. So today, I want to take the time and talk about some more viruses and other types of malware I've come across that I think are somewhat scary, sick as hell, or a mix of the two. I'll be separating these into two loose categories to make this easy. Viruses that are unintentionally entertaining, or viruses that were made to be entertaining. If there's a silly, spooky virus you didn't see mentioned here, check out my last video where I covered mostly horror-themed viruses, it might be there. And lastly, I swear we'll get to the viruses right after this. I just want to thank all of you for helping me reach 100,000 subscribers. That is insane that you're coming on right now. I don't even know where to start with this, so I'll just say thank you so much for your continued support. We got some wild and crazy videos planned coming up here soon, and I've got something pretty damn cool in the works as a little thank you for 100K, so stick around and you'll see what it is. So without further ado, let's talk about some spooky software, shall we? Let's start off with your average Joe viruses, the ones that were made with no entertainment value in mind. Sure, getting a virus on your computer in itself can be scary, but not the ones that just wipe your files away and scamper. Those are just annoying. I'm talking about the ones that have pizzazz. They may erase your personal data, but hey, at least they do it with some style. No virus makes a bigger show out of it, though, than ransomware. So, if you didn't know, ransomware is a type of virus that'll lock up all of your files and will typically hold them for ransom until you pay a certain amount of money, usually Bitcoin. Remember when Bitcoin was seen as the shady evil currency for people on the dark web? Now it's just that one thing that your uncle obsessed with Elon Musk posts about on his Facebook page. Anyways, ransomwares in themselves are absolutely terrifying, showing you that if you don't act fast enough and scrape up all the money, all of your stuff is gone forever. One popular example was the WannaCry ransomware, which was your typical, whoops, we encrypted all of your data, but this time with a scary red hue.
Well, I thought it was in incognito mode. Google leaves your personal information exposed.
Switch to the DuckDuckGo browser. The built-in search engine never collects your search history, and it blocks most cookies and ads.
Well, that was easy.
Download DuckDuckGo today.
Our lawyer said we couldn't name this new Carl's Jr. burger the biggest burger for the smallest price burger, so we didn't. The Kelly XL. Charging more for half the meat? Not loving that. Get it now for a limited time, only at Carl's Jr.
Very red hue. This program was absolutely notorious, gaining lots of attention from the media at the time and spreading like wildfire between computers, which led to an estimated $4 billion in damages. Now, normally I like to run some of these programs on my own virtual machine, just so that I could get a feel for how they are. But out of fear of erasing all of my files and everybody on my networks, I'm not going to run these, specifically the ransomwares. And on that note, do not run any of the viruses I talk about here today. If a dumbass like me is scared to run some of these, that should be pretty telling not to run some of these. And if you do, use a virtual machine. Don't be dumb. Thank you. That ransomware had some scary features to it, but what about a ransomware that was entirely made to scare the recipient? Well, I guess all ransomware is supposed to be scary, but you'll see what I mean. Jigsaw was yet another ransomware that did the whole pay Bitcoin to get your files back shtick, but it used Billy the Puppet from the horror movie Saw to really scare the person who was affected. This is an older ransomware, so it's absolutely hilarious to see it asking for zero point 0.4 BTC. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I won't be able to afford that. It's crazy that
Burn it
someone
alive!
decided to make the already
Burn
scary
it!
experience of getting
Eat
ransomware
alive!
stressful by adding actual horror elements. And on top of that, it apparently threatened to dox you if you didn't comply. Oh, okay, that part might not be true because I read it on Wikipedia, but still, it's messed up if it is. This is a horrifying concept, but for some reason, this virus is weirdly polite. I've encrypted your files. Oh, but don't worry, they're okay, I swear. Don't you dare do anything funny, or else I'll erase it all. Thank you. Jigsaw is truly an interesting and terrifying concept for a virus. Combining that rush to eat makes for a devious program. I'm by no means praising these programs. I mean, they were made by scumbags, but learning about them and seeing how they tick is still kind of fascinating. Okay, I don't know if this next virus was supposed to be scary. I mean, I could see it being creepy in some instances, but I personally just think it's downright hilarious. Okay, imagine you turn on your phone and all you see is this. Sandboxels, a Trojan virus that was made for Nokia phones. Damn, we had a virus for everything, huh? What's next, a virus in a Sonic fan game? Oh, yeah, that's right. Anyways, the Symbo S Skull virus really wasn't anything insane. It would replace every single app on your phone with these non-functional skull icons, and your phone would basically just become useless. Simple, yet absolutely brilliant. Pretty short explanation, I know, but it didn't stop there, because that was only SimboSkulls.a. There was a surprising amount of these made. There was F that uses a flashing image of a real skull, and then there was also J that was the same thing, but without the flashing. M made them red, and of course, Skulls B had no skulls at all. Thank you f-secure.com and DanoOct1 because you have helped in preserving the oldest string of viruses that has ever existed. Were these all made by the same person? Was there just a massive coincidence that a bunch of virus developers made Nokia viruses that heavily used skulls? I guess it could be a little scary, especially as a kid having your phone taken over by a bunch of skeletons, but I think it's just silly. Now, what's supposed to protect you from all these scary and admittedly hilarious viruses? Antiviruses, right? Well, what if the antivirus itself was also a virus? NavaShield was a rogue antivirus, which is a type of antivirus that was, get this, rogue. Yes, I know. Thank you. I'm brilliant. Now, there's a lot of antiviruses that try to scam you out of your money or just mess up your computer.
Don't get in the magma!
NavaShield is an interesting case because it tries to force you to buy its software. After downloading this program, it would start to heavily push its paid version. Special offer my ass. Hold on. Save 80% off. Okay, hear me out. If you wait about a week or so and ignore the incredible deals being offered to you, it doesn't
Hey,
just
right,
your
hey,
virus
right.
or anything boring like that. No, it begins to go absolutely bonkers. It permanently starts laughing at you with this creepy ass laugh, and then starts to bring in a second laugh as the time goes on. Not only that, it opens up a ton of unsavory websites. Good luck explaining to your parents why the computer is not only laughing at you, but it's covered in naked ladies. Other payloads that NavaShield allegedly had was sending out emails, using the text-to-speech voice to swear at the user, and threatening to erase your hard drive. All of this over a max of $40. That is a whole level of pettiness. Now, as mind-bafflingly hilarious as this program was, this is horrible. Scaring the user and spamming inappropriate sites for like $10 is an insane low to fall to. But I do have to give NavaShield this. It is the first virus I have ever seen that gaslights you. Oh no, you have to buy the premium version because you have a virus. How'd that get there? I don't know. And those were just a few unintentionally spooky and entertaining viruses that I have come across. I do understand that there is a lot of malware that can be seen this way. I'd love to spend the whole video talking about and dissecting what makes certain viruses scary or cool, but maybe I could focus on more real viruses in a future video, Let me know if you'd want to see that in the future. But for now, let's move on to the viruses that were created with the sole purpose to entertain. I mean, some of these do destroy your system in the end, but how else are you going to see the funny Mr. Krabs picture? That's the only way you're allowed to see him in here. If you don't lose all of your files, you don't see Mr. Krabs. It's simple as that. While normal viruses do intrigue me a lot, viruses that were made for entertainment purposes get a lot more creative with what they do, especially when it comes to getting a little scary. Like the infamous Windows XP horror virus. It's creepy and slightly cheesy virus that turned your computer into a scary version of Windows XP, and I kinda loved it. There is a real functioning virus out there that not only renders your computer useless, but also has a freaking phantom balloon boy jump scare. That is absolutely amazing. Also, the Evil Dead 2 skull is still there. That's always a welcome one. That one skeleton Twitter account. Hey, how's it going? Another virus I mentioned last video was a SpongeBob themed one, which I've actually got another one to talk about today. Horror Crabs 2.0 was developed by Pan Koza, who not only has developed a zillion other custom viruses, but has featured on this channel before. They made that one SpongeBob virus called Horror Bob, which I see a running theme with the names here. Horror Crabs 2.0 runs pretty similarly to the SpongeBob one. Starting up the program, your computer quickly runs a command prompt, and then the computer restarts. And that's it. Thanks for watching my awesome virus review. Follow me on Facebook and Google+. Okay, I may have lied because after the computer restarts, it turns out that Mr. Krabs was here. Thanks to Krabsy, your computer has been completely overhauled. The background is stuck as this picture of bloody splotches. Task Manager doesn't work anymore, and there's a million files on your desktop labeled Mr. Krabs was here. They don't really do anything though. Sorry to all the Krabs fans out there that were excited. And to top it all off, the man himself appears on your desktop while scary music plays in the background. Now, when I ran this was quite literally the extent of it. Sure, it makes your computer a pain to use, but it's still somewhat usable. So much for a scary, destructive virus. I thought you were cool, Mr. Krabs. Okay, so it turns out that it just didn't run right on my computer, because what's supposed to happen is that a list of rules pops up for what not to do, and then your computer dies in about 5 minutes regardless. I think it's so funny when a virus needs the absolute perfect setup to run properly. Rah! I'm gonna destroy your computer! But can you help me first? The screen also gets pretty heavily distorted too. Man, I really missed out on the full Horror Krabs experience, didn't I? It's still goofy as hell for there to be a Mr. Krabs virus out there, so you know what? I give this 8 half-eaten Mr. Krabses out of 10. What you may not know is that Horror Krabs is actually based on a pre-existing creepypasta virus, one that some people that look at this kind of stuff may be familiar with, and that virus is called MrsMajor.exe. Mrs. Major, more like major disappointment, because I can't get this to work properly either. What is wrong with these viruses? So MrsMajor.exe was made by, I believe, Electro Burke. That's the name that came up in most of my research, so I don't know. For all I know, Mr. Krabs made this virus to try and get back at me for surviving his virus. He'd be very disappointed about the results, but we'll get to that. I saw tons of YouTubers covering this virus back in the day, and I mean, I understand why, but look at this. This is perfect for a thumbnail. The virus functions basically like Horror Krabs, but the presentation is that classic scary, haunted creepypasta vibe. There's multiple versions of this one. I ran 3.0 for the sake of this video. I don't know if there's really like a definitive version, but honestly, I don't really care.
If you have primary biliary cholangitis, or PBC, seeing high liver lab results can be alarming. Now, when PBC is progressing despite treatment, people like Amanda are letting Livdelzi.
I let Livdelzi take on PBC while I take in the moment.
Livdelzi improved key PBC labs in 62% of people versus 20% taking placebo. Most people in the trial also took Ursodiol. Livdelzi is a prescription medicine for PBC and is taken with UDCA for adults who have not responded well to UDCA, or alone for those who can't tolerate UDCA. Livdelzi is not for people with advanced liver disease. It is not known if Livdelzi improves chance of survival or prevents advanced liver disease. Serious side effects can include bone fractures and changes in liver tests. The most common side effects were headache, stomach pain, nausea, abdominal swelling, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about all the medicines and supplements you take. Breastfeeding, and if you have or developed new donor liver problems, let Livdelzi take on your PBC while you take in the view. Ask your healthcare provider if Livdelzi is right for you.
Don't really care. After signing a contract saying that I know I'm stupid for what I'm doing, the virus goes underway. I also like how when you hit install it goes all glitchy. It's really just the cherry on top to show that, yep, it's all over for you from here on out. Mrs. Major bounces around your desktop and gives you just a taste of that spooky goodness to come before crashing your computer. Restart the computer, log into Squidward, and Mrs. Major takes effect. Similar to the Horror Crabs virus, the background is now changed and a ton of icons appear on your desktop, this time claiming that humans are tasty. Okay, not cool, Miss Major. It's cannibalism you're joking about. Please God. There is some good stuff here, though. Like, for example, your cursor is now an eyeball. I can't even be mad. That's sick. So, before I could disable it, I think my antivirus messed up the virus, so I once again missed out on some features. In fact, I don't even know what version I truly downloaded, because every video on the 3.0 version had things like dripping blood, a blood meter, it was not good. Once again, maybe my virtual machine just wasn't configured properly for this virus, but it is totally possible that I downloaded a fan-made version or something. Anyways, Miss Major is somewhat entertaining. The creep factor wears off pretty fast, and in my case, it didn't do anything. But it's still cool to see someone make this cheesy, haunted virus that acts like it's straight out of a bad creepypasta. You know what else is similar to creepypastas? Analog horror. Well, they're not exactly the same, but it's close enough. So, as we take a look at the last virus of the video here, let's just say that analog horror plays a little part in it. And by a little part, I mean the entire virus is about analog horror. I honestly don't know why I said little part there. Mandela is a virus created by Cyber Soldier, which to my knowledge is the first analog horror virus to exist, which is honestly a cool idea. Analog horror is closely connected with digital horror, you know, horror related to internet and the old tech. So, a virus focusing on ideas related to digital horror actually seems pretty solid. Mandela is based on the popular Mandela Catalog series, which I'd quickly like to say that I'm not entirely informed on the situation involving the creator of Mandela Catalog, and therefore I don't want to make an uninformed opinion or an uninformed statement or really anything about it. I just want to acknowledge that I'm aware that there's been issues regarding the series and the creator, since it's related to what I'm talking about here. Anyways, back to the virus. Also, before we boot into this huge flashing lights warning, skip to this timestamp to avoid all of the chicanery. 3, 2, 1, let's go. After signing away my rights to Cyber Soldier, it's time to run it. And by God, does it run. Creepy ass sounds and flashing black and white filters immediately take over the screen. Wait a second. No, not my knife. No! After your computer freaks out, it cuts to black and hits you with a smiley jump scare. Okay, listen, I haven't seen Mandela Catalog in a while, but like, was this a part of it? I legitimately don't know. I know for sure that the multiplying error boxes work. The message, nothing is worth the risk, appears multiple times throughout this virus, including this part where the monster spam all across the screen. This is followed up with freaky noises and even more flashing lights. Okay, I put the flashing lights down for my sake, Jesus Christ. The Windows 10 virtual machine gods must have taken mercy on me, because the computer crashes soon after this. I guess it was a one-trick pony, but before I can open up my browser to play Happy Wheels and drink Sody Pop, a video begins to play over your screen. In the style of an analog horror warning video, a text-to-speech voice gives you the rundown on what a virus is, how to protect from it, and who to contact if you need it removed. So glad we get that info.
If you suspect that your computer is infected with malware, contact Cyber Soldier.
Is that the guy I'm supposed to talk to? Who is that? Okay, I'm sorry. I'll talk to them. How's your day been, man? Please don't hurt me. Another restart takes place, and it seems to be normal once again. And once again, it begins to freak the fuck out. This time it moves around your windows and adds in new ones. It makes playing solitaire a bitch. After this stupid ass virus ruins my solitaire game, it restarts for the last time. And it really is the last time
Let's grab
because
some
your entire computer
human.
has been
Human.
the only thing that remains is the
Grab some
message, nothing is worth
poison.
the risk. Like it wasn't worth the risk to run this
Poison.
program?
Poison.
I mean, all of them was
Poison.
running an insanely dangerous program for funsies. I won't lie, this one kind of creeped me out, especially reviewing the footage later to write the script. I mean, I don't think this was terrifying, but show me my computer having the seizure and showing me scary jump scares when I'm basically passing out at my computer, I will get paranoid as all hell. I really like the custom video made for this virus, and I think besides the unrelated scary pictures that come in every now and then, this was a great concept for malware. And with that, I have discussed all of the viruses I've wanted to talk about here today, both terrifying and hilarious. Now, viruses are just such an interesting art form, and it's so fascinating to take a look at them for me. Except for the ones that are just made to prey on grandmas, those people are losers and will never have anything on Horror Crabs 2.0. There are just too many viruses that I want to talk about. Pancoza, the creator of Horror Crabs, has like 80 alone that I want to talk about. Like, what the hell is Teletubbies.exe? Ah, I seen it. It's always fun for me to look at these types of viruses, especially the ones that were made with entertainment in mind. When a virus isn't just made to make someone's day worse, the creator could truly go hog wild and just have fun with it. Now, I don't actually make viruses myself, but I could see the appeal of being a programmer and putting your abilities to the test in a fun and almost exhilarating way. It's almost like being on a roller coaster. You can have all of the thrilling, dangerous fun you want with the proper safety equipment in place, but if you don't have that harness on, you will die very fast. Now, I know this video was a little disjointed. It was originally supposed to be only horror viruses made for fun, similar to the last one I did, but I couldn't help it throwing in some real viruses that I thought were interesting. If you want to see a new video where I focus on one or the other, let me know in the comments. Or if you want a comprehensive review on Bonzi Buddy, I can do that too, and I'm not joking. Oh wait, there was actually one more virus I wanted to talk about here. What was it called again? Let me check real quick. On second thought, I think I'm good.
Delicious soup.
In MapleStory,
I'm gonna make a soup.
there are tons of modes for you to choose from. Step into a
Computer viruses, Trojans, email worms, spyware, adware,
Just grab
ransomware, WarioWare. There are
wall.
quite a few types of
To the
malware out there,
ball. Ball. I love the ball. 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 Ball.
computer virus?
Ball.
I'm talking about the ones that do something cool to your computer. The ones that are absolutely ridiculous. The ones that turn all your
Pour
files
some
into a
water
block of
in.
cheese.
Let's
No
grab
wonder it's the biggest
some
category
nice
after all. But in the grand
humans
scheme of
for
interesting malware or
protein.
viruses or
Make sure
whatever, not too many
to
of them gain significant
whisk it.
popularity. Of course, there's the rare cases
Whisk,
of
whisk,
real
whisk, whisk,
damaging
whisk, whisk,
programs that gain
whisk.
solid notoriety.
Smash
One
it all up.
such was a desktop helper who was secretly spyware and who is not
Knife, knife, knife,
secretly
knife,
my
knife,
best
knife,
friend.
knife,
Another was
knife.
the jigsaw
Whisk, 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 whisk,
ransomware,
whisk, whisk,
using
whisk,
Billy
whisk.
the Puppet from Saw to scare and rush the victim into
Mix,
pain.
mix, mix, mix.
But overall, a lot of the wacky, goofy malware out there was made with the intention of being wacky, followed by goofy. Windows XP Horror Edition, You Are an Idiot, Ransomware, No Escape, Mrs. Major, goddamn Pac-Man smoking crack. What I'm saying is that these pieces of malware made for entertainment are the ones that get a lot of attention. Okay, maybe not the Pac-Man one. That one hasn't made it big just yet. But in my humble opinion, there's one virus that ranks above them all. A program that is not only bizarre, but managed to gain a cult following. We're talking millions of views on YouTube, tons of people talking about it, its own Wikipedia page. And that software is none other than the memes virus. God, I sounded lame. reacting to said reaction videos, and even testing the memes Trojan themselves. Now, if only there were a word for
Clean out that mouth, boy.
spread fast. That channel was absolutely burgeoning. Memes is a computer virus created in 2016 by Lorac. You may have heard their name before, as they've made a ton of goofy viruses over the years. First there was Memes, and then its counterpart Vine Memes. And then there was Smile Locker, which was a ransomware that requires your Twitch chat to spam the smile emote, or else you lose everything. Bonzify, a virus that turns everything into, well, Bonzi Buddy. The Y virus, which glitches your computer to hell and back, and then forces you to play a DOS version of Desert Bus for 8 hours. And lastly, my personal favorite, Tim Allen's Sexy Strip Poker. It turns everything into this one image of Tim Allen. There is genuinely nothing funnier than being jump scared by an evil Tim Allen and then getting a blue screen. First Home Improvement on Super Nintendo, and now this? You sick
I don't know how to
bastard.
do this, kid,
As you
but
could
I'm
probably
not
tell,
good at making
Lorac has made
sense.
a
Stay right there.
and Memes is no exception. You could probably tell. Memes is considered a Trojan by many, meaning it's a program that secretly is a virus and only reveals itself after you run it. I'm not exactly sure how this is supposed to be pretending not to be a virus, but hey, to each their own. The program first gained notoriety through YouTuber DanoOct1's YouTube channel. It was created for his series called Viewer Made Malware, where viewers would submit their own malware for him to cover.
Club Penguin. Time to get banned.
This is how we got such incredible programs like PC Toaster. It definitely lives up to the name, I can tell you that much. But it wasn't until later in 2016 when it really blew up in
Something
popularity.
I just
Very similarly to another virus I've talked about, Bonzi
all
Buddy.
in,
It
mix
was
it
the show
all in.
Skeletor covering it that aided in bringing it to a new audience. I swear I'm not trying to glaze Joel every time I make a video talking about malware. He just happens to be tied to like every computer virus out there. Dad has ransomware on his work laptop. Let's be real, it was probably this dude's fault. There are hundreds of videos on YouTube of people testing this virus out for themselves, whether in a controlled environment like with a virtual machine, or on their school computer, because God forbid the underpaid middle school teacher's life be easy. But enough dilly-dallying. You want to see what this program can do. And before we get into that, just a small little disclaimer. Please do not run this on your actual computer. I'm not going to be linking to this virus for very obvious reasons, on top of the fact that I don't think YouTube likes when you do that. But please, if you do find this program, run it in a virtual machine. And if you don't know what you're doing, don't touch it at all. Just watch me run it instead. Because this virus will do irreversible damage to your computer and you lose everything. If your mom has to go and do her taxes and then you tell her, oh, Toadpup talked about this funny virus and I ran it on our computer, how's that gonna look on me? Your mom would be pissed. With all that being said, what exactly does the Memes Trojan do?
Sir? Wait, I thought it was in incognito mode.
Gone in incognito mode trying to fix a leaky sink. Shopping for furniture. Making a dinner reservation. Switch to the DuckDuckGo browser. You get a built-in search engine like Google, but it never collects your searches.
Okay, kid, just drink this, I guess. Good. I don't feel good.
Smart Charities and Hill Science Guide invite you to join us for National Adoption Week. PetSmart, anything for pets.
Ooh.
So first off, I had to source this virus not
Smash
from the
this all up.
creator, but from the uploader's GitHub page. It's still the same thing, but unfortunately, the creator did not bless me with a beautiful, pristine, untouched copy. You'll first be given a warning, which is pretty nice. It gives you one last out before 2016 hilarity ensues. Also, a healthy reminder not to run this on your real computer, because, as it's bluntly put by the creator, your computer has been fucked by the Memes Trojan. Your computer won't boot up again, so use it as long as you can. Memes acts in payloads, or sections of the virus that'll operate in a certain order. The first payload is that multiple programs will begin to open. It could just be random things like your command prompt, devices, or even your calculator. Thank God for that. I can't go a single minute without solving a vast equation. But the big thing it opens are Google searches. And of course you'll get all sorts of wacky, funny searches like how to buy weed and softtonic.com. You have to remember this was made almost a decade ago. Obviously, it's not going to be the same internet humor as today. I do really like that it'll look up things pertaining to viruses in general. I did my internet though, because this virus started looking things up like
Put your hands up.
I can't lie. I don't know how easy it'll be to explain to the cops. Oh no, it was a funny meme virus that looked that up, not me. That's just the simple stuff though. Visuals start to kick in, and by God, they kick in. At this point, I'm gonna have to issue a flashing
just
lights
making
warning.
soup.
You can skip to this
No.
timestamp right here if you want to
Horrible
avoid all
soup.
of that. And yes,
Try
I
some of this.
know, I give a flashing lights warning in like every video I do. But goddamn, call me a moth because I love those big beautiful lights. I can't seem to resist them. Windows error noises begin to play as Doomsday slowly rolls in. Your screen begins to invert its colors every few seconds or so, but not perfectly. It's all blotchy and sometimes doesn't do it in certain areas, but I mean, that kind of gives more validity to the whole glitchy aesthetic. Your mouse gains a Rocket League trail of error signs as that starts to freak out as well. The screen also starts to break off in chunks and blocks, slowly tunneling in on itself, and the cherry on top of it all, the program asks if you're still using this PC. Oh, you bet your ass I am. There's no way in hell you'll stop me from playing Line Rider 2. And yes, dear viewers, I did manage a single successful jump. Very impressive if I do say so myself. But not as impressive as the fact that I shower. I know, you didn't think it was possible. But how did I pull it off, you ask? With cheeky soap, of course. That's right, as of today, I am officially partnered with Cheeky to help you bring bars of soap that'll leave you feeling hydrated and have you feeling like you've got skin. I feel like that's important. You can now use my world-famous code TOADBUT for 10% off of your order at usecheeky.com/TOADBUT or with the link down below. I really recommend you get the Touch Grass bar with 100% honesty and sincerity. That bar smells really good. Now, I know jack about viruses,
your
but
hands
I'm fairly
on
certain
a
all of these
dog.
visual glitches and whatnot are on some sort of fake screen. It'd be like, here's the real desktop that's still functioning fine, and then here's the overlay that makes it look like you downloaded Rainbow Six Siege. I only say this because I tried to run Freddy.exe, and for some reason the game was completely unaffected. It was one of the only files on my virtual machine, I swear. Yeah. Regardless, after some time passes, these payloads just get worse and worse. It gets to a point where you just straight up can't use your PC anymore.
You made cancer in this, man. You made cancer in this. Oh, I don't feel good.
Restart the computer. I mean, you can try to use your PC, but this is no way to check your silver rights on my Nintendo. Eventually, you just have to shut the whole thing off to end the chaos and hope for the best. It should have been him. After your computer resets, you're left with nothing but this Nyan Cat animation, as your boot sector's been completely overwritten.
Hi.
Also, apparently it plays music too, but it didn't do that for me. Now, you might be thinking, is there a way to get rid of this before all of the chaos happens? I mean, I'm sure there is, but just not to a bumbling buffoon like me. If you try to close anything with Task Manager like you may automatically go to do, your screen freaks out with error boxes and just kills the computer then and there. Oh god, you can really tell the age of this virus. Outdatedness aside, the Splitgate devs would love this shit. The memes virus is a very colorful, very destructive, very slightly outdated piece of software. Compared to Lurak's later work and even the variation of this virus, Vine memes, It's really nothing crazy. But in the grand scheme of viruses themselves, this is pretty sick. This is what you thought would happen as a kid if you got malware. Side note, when I was a kid, I had a huge fear of computer viruses, to the point where I'd have multiple nightmares of something exactly like this happening. Granted, the only malware I ever swapped spit with as a kid was some mild adware from a fake Xbox 360 controller adapter, but I was still scared of this happening.
Fly's like,
Anyways,
no,
games
please,
like
no,
Minecraft
I don't
are
want to die.
exciting
No,
viruses,
I don't
especially
want
for
to
those
die
who
in
haven't
cancer.
dabbled in the world of fun junk malware. It's got silly Google searches, crazy visuals, and everybody's favorite thing, a destructive finish. I will argue, though, that Vine memes is a better variant. It's a very similar virus, but with a ton of references to the previously mentioned Varg Skeletor and Vine Sauce as a whole. It's due to those references that I don't really want to cover it.
Simparica Trio protects against 3 categories of parasites.
Power of disease.
This drug class has been associated with neurologic side effects, including seizures. Used with cause
Human body.
but without a history of these
Take
disorders.
some cancer and
Triple protect.
yeah, baby, yeah. Oops, doopsie.
Welcome everyone to another webinar with AdvisorCon.
Drink.
Today we're going to get into the intro to Microsoft 365 Copilot Studio. This is one of many videos that we're doing to help people understand how to leverage Copilot going forward to optimize their business. Our focus today is going to be on using SharePoint as a data source. That's kind of important as we think about how often we work with SharePoint. So, of course, if you haven't met us before, we're AdvisorCon, and we've been around for 30 plus years, focused on business transformation and technology. So we aren't here to sell licensing. We're here to help you figure out how to get more and do more with less. So basically, certainly step over some of the pitfalls that Jeff and I bump our heads into as we work through tech. With me today is Jeff Post, and Jeff is one of our senior architects, a longtime friend and colleague. We have wrestled through Project Server, all the iterations of this, and Jeff has been hyper-focused on learning and simulating how Copilot will begin to optimize business.
Okay, I just had to go pee. That's all.
In the Microsoft stack.
And now I'm
Today,
just gonna
we're going to jump right through kind of a talk about practical requirements. Like if you're going to go create a custom Copilot, what are some
fill
things that you need to be
everything
aware
that
of?
I
And what does that look
was
like?
cancer. Let's
Skills,
feed him some
licensing, and other
cancer.
elements.
Feed him the cancer.
Again, our focus will be around today, focused on SharePoint internal, basically a SharePoint site as.
It's due to those references that I don't really want to cover it. You know what? Some of these are actually really funny if you have no clue who Vine Sauce is. So here's a quick list of just some of the more important payloads within the
My
virus
goodness.
of Vine memes. The McAfee Man becomes your wallpaper. Your cursor turns into a flaming death sword. A Christmas tree appears on your desktop. A MIDI of a Skrillex song begins to play. A million John Cenas bounce around your screen. And to top it all off, the malware makes you use Bonzi Buddy at the end until you just can't handle it anymore. I love the more unique payloads of Vine memes, but even I didn't understand every reference in this virus, so this isn't as generally for everyone like the original memes is. Although I hope the non-Vine Sauce fans can agree that some of these payloads are really fucking funny without context. Please give me your best guess as to why this cursor turns into this.
Today we are going to open this
Memes is a
thing.
great example as to why I love malware. Really, it's an art form at the end of the day, allowing people to push computers to their limits in unique and different ways. That's how these types of programs started out, after all, and I'm glad that that never truly ended when viruses began to be used for nefarious purposes. Memes might not be the craziest joke malware out there, but its huge popularity brought attention to more viruses like this. I guarantee you someone got into the scene because of this program, and that's absolutely wonderful. Except for the fact that it somehow reached my computer and is now in my room.
Oh my goodness, it's cancer. A blob of cancer.
My home really needs some improving after this.
We should probably lock this up again. No.
Oh my god, guys, it was him
We
all
must
along.
see. Smash it up. I can see a hand, I can see a hand! We have to burn this. It's human. Oh.
Thank you, everyone. Just let me brief on the topic of the panel today. So we're going to talk about make security
Cool it down.
feel like
Cool it
practice
down.
and not a
Cool it
burden.
down.
So my
Freeze
name
it.
is Deepzung Thapa. I'm one of the co-founder and CEO at ThreatCop. Let me start with a thought. What if security training wasn't something people feared or avoided, but something they practiced regularly, like building a seamless auto-scoring task? So too often, security training feels like a checkbox, a module to click through, a quiz to pass, a reminder to forget. But attackers don't wait for annual training. They exploit moments of real world decisions. A suspicious link on Slack, a message on WhatsApp, an unexpected phone call, or a USB left on the desk. They play with our emotions. That's the most important thing. Emotions like fear, like urgency, complacency, greed, presence of mind, all of this. So today's panel, Make Security Training Feel Like Practice and Not Burden, is about how we move beyond compliance checkboxes to engage behavior-driven learning experiences where security awareness is part of culture, not an annual task. We are joined by three leaders who are driving this shift in how organizations think about security, people, and practice. So let me introduce our first panelist, Pritham Naik. Pritham is a passionate cybersecurity professional with deep expertise in human-centric security programs. He has led enterprise and product security initiatives across major technology organizations and is actively involved in cybersecurity communities like the CISO Society and Eventus governing body.
Reset.
Pritham focuses on delivering
Cancer.
training that resonates with real user
Let's try to
behavior,
stop it.
turning abstract policies into relevant practice. His approach emphasizes learning by doing practical simulations and fostering a culture where secure choices feel intuitive, not intrusive. Thank you so much, sir, for joining our panel. I'd like to thank you, sir. I'm gonna introduce our second panelist, Mr. Ashok Katili. So Ashok is a cybersecurity executive known for building high-impact business-driven security programs across global enterprises. As Chief Information Security Officer at Compunal,
Turn
he
the heat
champions
ray.
practice that empower people.
That works really
His
well.
expertise in training, interactive scenarios, and creative reinforcement techniques that make learning feel like practice and not punishment. His work bridges the gap between security requirements and human experience, helping organizations build habit that stick. Welcome, Ashok sir. Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to introduce our third panelist, Arunesh Sanotra. Uh, Arunesh is a seasoned cybersecurity leader for the past 20 plus years of experience across AI security, DevSecOps, enterprise risk, and human security management. He is
Dig a hole. Dig right here. Need reinforcements?
Give me a target.
There. What is that? Cancer. It's cancer. It's cancer everywhere, people. Stop digging. Stop it. Can't stop it. No. It's been let loose. Everyone get out of here.
The internet during the 90s was one of the biggest and most confusing times for the medium. With the success of Microsoft's Windows 95 and 98, more people than ever were using computers, and more people than ever needed to know what they were doing. So many interesting and weird solutions were invented to help make computers easier to use. Software
Stop.
a tutorial video made by the cast
This
of
graphics
Friends,
fun. I like it.
infamous edition
No, it's not. It's cancer. People run. People run.
made with the Microsoft
It's
Agent
gone too
software.
far.
He was an office assistant on Microsoft
I got an
Word
idea.
that would,
Burn
albeit
it.
annoyingly, offer help to the user. A very interesting and odd part of computer history. Now fast forward to the year
It's working, people. It's
2024. I
working.
just got a tattoo of a purple monkey. How are these related?
No, we need
With the
more
success of
fire.
Windows came the success of people who just really wanted to get into your computer and destroy the thing. There were some viruses that just pushed what your Windows could do for the fun of it, and then there were some viruses that wanted to do actual harm. But viruses have been a thing since the beginning of computers, starting all the way back on DOS. It's just that with the launch of the World Wide Web,
I don't feel so. I don't feel so.
malware and its variants alike grew rampant. I could totally talk about all the like I Love You or My Doom, but why do that when I could talk about the monkey that can speak to you? In the year 1999, the internet was blessed and cursed for 1,000 years with the creation of a new program. Created by Jay and Joe Bonzi, we finally got to meet Bonzi Buddy. Isn't it kind of funny that this guy right here was named after two businessmen who violated the COPPA Act? Bonzi Buddy, made in 1999 and discontinued around 2004, was a virtual assistant similar to the previously mentioned Clippy. Unlike Clippy, though, Bonzi wasn't limited to just a single program. He was a presence on the computer itself. Your email, your downloads, your will, he could manage it all. I love this dumb scam of a software so much. Part of it is because of how he made a comeback after his discontinuation in 2004. But we'll talk about that in a bit. I've seen quite a few videos about Bonzi. Video essays, history videos, and showing off the program itself. I've also discovered through some of these videos that a lot of people think he'll actually destroy your computer for some reason. Come on, you think he would damage your PC? Nonsense, just your sanity. So today, I'd like to actually review the Bonzi Buddy program itself. Starting off with its history and then talking about what it does, what it used to do,
Now I'm gonna
and
make
if
like
having
a
your data stolen and your child relentlessly advertised to
saltwater
was
maker.
really all worth it. It wasn't. But before we get into Bonzi Buddy, I think it's only fair we know the story behind the name. So here's a bit of a history lesson about the genius that was Bonzi Buddy.
Probably from telling people.
I got all this information from various Wikipedia articles, legal documents, hours of deep diving into weird advertising companies, and my brain. In the year 1993, we meet our brave heroes, the Bonzi brothers, aka Jay and Joe. This was before the whole virtual agent desktop buddy was a thing. The earliest thing I could find that these two worked on was a program called Voice Email, a software that lets you attach audio files to your emails. There were a couple other random programs they made, like an Internet Booster and Internet Alert, which 100% were just big old muffin burgers. If anything ever claims to boost your internet, run 50 meters in the opposite direction. In the year 1999, the Bonzi brothers decided to release something that could do more than just one thing like the other programs they made. They utilized the Microsoft Agent technology, which allowed you to create your own virtual desktop assistant. Characters like Petey and Merlin were popular ones, along with the previously mentioned Clippy. Clippy was baked into Microsoft Office, though, sealed away, never to see the glories of this world. And in this new program the two masterminds created, they made one of the most recognizable desktop assistants yet. This program was called Bonzi Buddy, and it featured Petey the Parrot at first. You think the guys who made Internet Booster are gonna have original ideas at first? Nah, you gotta give them a year to cook up something like a purple monkey. Bonzi Buddy was a jack of all trades. He could manage downloads, utilize a calendar, help with emails, on top of more silly functions like singing and telling jokes. His little gorilla personality had it all, and while not an essential for your PC, on paper, it was a pretty neat program. It was essentially a precursor to things like Siri and Alexa, but please take heed of how I say it was neat on paper. We'll get into his functions later, but for now, let's talk about what really matters: subscription services and stealing children's info. Bonzi had a few issues of varying importance. For one, he was annoying as fuck. I mean, the man himself wasn't always tolerable. He talks and jokes like every 5 seconds. But what he did to your PC was way worse than that. Bonzi Buddy is what you would call adware, which is a type of virus that constantly bugs you with pop-ups, random new software, all that garbage. Bonzi would show you fake error messages and virus alerts, have tons of pop-up ads, and even change your homepage to bonzi.com. This is textbook virus shenanigans, and proving its shadiness even further was another glaring issue with Bonzi Buddy, the spyware. Now, every single program in existence collects and sells your data. At least now they'll tell you that, hey, you know how you looked up how to blow up the sun? Yeah, we're gonna sell that info to Ubisoft. But this was the early 2000s. The internet was still fairly new, and people weren't aware about online companies tracking and selling your data, especially when they didn't tell you. People were calling Bonzi software out on this for literal years before they finally got their comeuppance. Believe it or not, though, that's not the worst thing Bonzi Buddy did. It introduced
Chevy trucks are as capable and dependable as the Chevy people who drive them. You probably know her, your sister, your buddy, the ones who always show up. They all have that little extra something. And maybe you got it too.
It's Chevy Truck Month. Right now, get over $7,300 total value on this 2026 Chevy Silverado. Plus, Costco executive members can get a $12.50 members-only incentive.
Hello again. Thank you for joining us for our continued AdvisorCon webinar series. Today we're going to look at Planner and how you can get more.
Too hard.
That's not the worst thing Bonzi Buddy did. It introduced a subscription service. While Bonzi Buddy was free, unless you shelled out the big bucks, you couldn't
So I guess
unlock his potential.
that's it for today, guys. I guess
Features, though.
we're good.
Things like an email reader,
Yes.
storybooks, games,
Bye.